listening to Sunny Govan Radio on 103.5 FM.
Oh, welcome back to Sunny G Radio 103.5 FM with me, DBextrm, and the Inspirational Show. But it's now time for our chat with our interview guest for this week, who is Conner Campbell from the band Mooney. So, welcome along to Sunny G, Conner.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on, Davey. Thank you.
No, it's great. As I was telling you listeners last week, I had a great pleasure seeing you guys perform at the Hug and Pint just before Christmas. But that was the first time I'd seen you live, and you certainly lived up to expectations there. But maybe you could just begin by telling the listeners a little bit about your own musical background and how the band came together.
Yeah, well, the band itself, we'd mostly met. Well, three of us had met in college. That's myself, the other singer, guitarist, and the drummer Paul. Scott was the other singer and guitarist. So we've always wanted to start a band. We'd always wanted to get something going, but we could never ever find a bass player. If you're kind of in the music industry, you know that bass players and drummers are the hardest to ever come across, because most musicians want to be kind of front and centre attention wise. But Steve, the bassist, we managed to find him after a few months of looking. And he was more than happy to play, and he's more than happy not being front and centre of attention. Hence why we called the band after him, because his surname's Mooney. Hence why
I was wondering where the name would come from. Yeah,
it's his surname. We thought it'd be quite funny to name it after the quiet guy in the band, the quiet bassist. Give him a bit of limelight, so to speak. So that's why we called it Mooney. And he's more than happy with it, to be fair. Might cause issues down the line, he's got the rights to the name and things like that, but that is what it is.
Yeah, and you're primarily a keyboard player, is that correct?
I can play other instruments badly, but I'm probably my best at the keyboard. Do a wee bit of saxophone. Hopefully we'll get the saxophone added into the next EP at some point. Play a bit of the guitar as well, but I'm not as good as the rest of the guys. Even Paul's a better guitarist than me. I don't think he can hold it right. So, that is what it is.
Yeah. And your own musical influences, what would you say they were primarily when you were growing up?
Well, if I'm playing it safe, I'll probably say like the Beatles and ELO. I know the rest of the band aren't here tonight, and I know they will shun me for saying it, but I do take a little bit of inspiration from Oasis and bands like that, from the Blur, for example. Yeah. The guys are the biggest fan of Oasis, but hey, you know what? I must admit my songwriting is heavily inspired by them, which in turn's technically inspired by the Beatles, if you think about it. Many would argue that Oasis copied the Beatles. I don't think they did, but we're copying Oasis, who copied the Beatles, who copied God knows who else.
Well, I suppose in one sense, to a greater or lesser extent, everyone's influenced by everyone else. But yeah, I mean, I certainly remember when Oasis first broke in the scene, that was very much the accusation that they were simply updated Beatles.
Yeah, I do remember.
And you're... in terms of the songs that you've produced to date, are they primarily written by yourself, or is it a collective exercise?
Well, the two songs that we've got out at the moment, the ones that you would be able to hear, were both written by myself. The original versions that I had written actually sound quite different from what the band ended up doing. So what we like to do is bring a song idea into the studio, and essentially everyone kind of adds their own part. I don't write the drums, I don't write the bass, I don't write the rhythm or lead guitar. I only write the keyboards and the vocals and the melody to my songs, and they add everything else in. So the songs sound completely different from what they would in my own head. But I think in reality it does work better. The band keep me grounded that way. Two songs that have been out so far.
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, I wonder if we've been chatting for a few minutes now. Maybe a good idea to let the listeners have another listen to one of your tracks. Maybe we could begin with Needed Love.
Yeah, more than happy.
Is there anything you'd like to say about that by way of introduction to the song?
Well, this one was our kind of breakout single. Took us about 4, 5, 6 months to record, I think. This one's the song that we first played when we first met. And probably our best song live still to this day. So, it's quite a special one to the band. And, I hope everyone likes it if it's their first time hearing it.
Okay, well, let's have a listen to Needed Love. Oh, welcome back to Sunny G Radio here in the Inspiration Hour, and that was Needed Of by this week's interview guest, Mooney, and we have Conner Campbell from the band having a chat with us. So yeah, that was, as you say, that was your first single, and it's also one of your favourite ones that gets played live. Before we move on, maybe you could just say a little bit about your sort of live performances today. I mean, how many gigs have you guys done together?
Oh, good question. I think probably I would say about 6, 7. But we try not to overload the fans, i.e., the family at the moment with too many gigs. So we try and keep it maybe every 4 or 5 months. So we've probably done about 6, 7 gigs. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Certainly, one thing I did notice at the gig in December was your fans were rather boisterous. Maybe that was because it was 2 days before Christmas. I don't know, but certainly I'd been at a few gigs, around about that time, and not everyone was quite as lively as the crowd that you brought along.
We definitely try and keep the fans entertained during the gigs. I'm not too sure who it would have been out there being boisterous, because we can't really see from where we're standing because of the way the lights hit us. But I do know what you mean. There is a few guys and girls out there that are a bit mental when it comes to coming and watching us. A bit churlish.
Yeah. I think your sort of stage act, shall we say, your stage persona is rather lively as well. You do have a sort of a lively sense of humour with your performance.
I would like to underline that the Dog Elvis fiasco was part of a lost bet. I can't remember exactly what the lost bet was. It was probably something like me being late to practice, or if I actually tell a lie, Scott, the other singer in the band, is always late to practice, and I bet him before the gig. I said to him, if you're not late to this gig or this next practice, I'll dress up as anything you can think of on stage. And he chose Dog Elvis. Don't know where he got it from. Originally I was meant to be in the full gear, the Elvis costume as well.
Yeah.
I bought it and it was slightly too small for me, so I kind of instead of being up there in a wee tiny costume, looking fat on stage with a big, Dog Elvis helmet on. Yeah. So I just wore that. But the crowd seemed to really like it. It seemed to go well.
It certainly got a reaction, yes, I think. And I think it did well done to you. I mean, because if I recall, it was very, very hot on stage that night. Even though it was December.
Yeah, I could have died of heat stroke, put it that way. Yeah, very warm.
And we spoke briefly before we started the interview. You mentioned that you're working on a new EP with the band, so therefore your live performances going forward are not going to be too many over the next few months. But you have one coming up in a few months' time, is that right?
Yeah, we've got one coming up first week in April. I believe the 4th of April, 1st to the 4th. That would be in the Bungalow in Paisley. We play there quite often, actually. We played there about 3 times. It's a really, really good venue.
It's a great venue, yeah.
Really, really good sound. I think it was voted one of the best venues in Scotland not long ago. So, it's quite good that way. But we're hoping to get a half decent crowd, because I think, honestly, our next proper gig won't be until maybe December. We'll be doing a few other wee things here and there, a few other projects, but we're really focusing on getting an EP out by the end of the year, because it's been one of our kind of main goals since we started. So this year, hopefully, we're going to be able to put out an EP with maybe about 4 or 5 songs on it.
Right. And is there anything you can tell us by way of a teaser for the April gig in terms of any new songs that are going to be showcased there, or is it largely a replay of what we've been performing to date?
Well, this one's going to be our first gig where we play a majority of our own songs, but we are adding in a cover. Now, the cover itself, we're still arguing over it at the moment, but I can promise that there won't be any Piano Man or any Evil Woman being played at this gig. Probably going to be something completely different. We're going to keep it a surprise, but I hope from the couple of songs we've got kind of floating about, it's going to be a real good crowd pleaser, right slap bang in the middle of the set. And as I say, it's probably we've been practicing a lot, so I could promise it's going to be the best gig that we've played so far. Specifically because it is a lot of our own songs as well. We know how to play them, and you guys don't. We've made mistakes, which is the main thing.
And that's Thursday, the 4th of April at the Bungalow.
That's right, yeah.
Right, okay, well, yeah, I'll certainly put that in my own diary as well. Well, thanks very much for coming along and speaking to us on Sunny G Radio, Conor. We're going to play out with your current single, which only came out to last week, I believe. Maybe you could say a little bit about that, and also give the listeners details of how to get in touch with you guys.
Yeah, aye. So, Meet in the Middle was a song that I had written maybe about 4 or 5 months ago in the back of my girlfriend's car. It wasn't because I was in a mood with her. I just had to sit in the back for her. I think someone was in the front. But wrote in the back of the car, took it to the band. It's about essentially a guy that's trying to convince his mate to break up with his girlfriend because he doesn't like his girlfriend. That's essentially all it is. It's a real good song. I'm proud of this one. I think it's the recording quality is great, and I think everyone will really enjoy it. In regards to contacting us, you can find us literally anywhere: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and it would be Mooney_Glasgow is where you can find us on most of these. On Facebook, it's just Mooney.
Glasgow, yeah. And you've got a Linktree page as well, haven't you?
I've got a Linktree page, also under Mooney _Glasgow.
Right, and it's great. Okay, well, as I say, thanks very much for coming along to Sunny G today, and we'll play out with Meet Me in the Middle.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for having me on. It's been great, and I hope to come back soon with the rest of the guys so they can talk over me and be annoying and whatnot.
That's great. Okay, we'll set something up once our new studio has been refurbed, etc. Thanks again, Conor.